Well, hello everyone. Glad you could join us today. My name is Matt Johnson, and we're going to be doing a webinar today on Appraise-It Pro tips and tricks. I like to call this kind of a part two to our webinar on Appraise-It Pro, kind of the introduction. This is the part two to that. Okay. So for those of you who may not have done one of these webinars before, first of all, if you haven't done the original introduction to Appraise-It Pro webinar, you may want to go back and you can just go to SFR. You can go to youtube.com/SFREP, click on live, and you'll be able to see all of the past webinars we've done. You may want to go to one of those first, because that will kind of give you the basis that you'll need for this webinar. And always remember that you can always go back and watch these webinars. They are all archived. You can even go back right now to the very beginning of this, pause it, go watch the other one, then come back to this one. If you do that, you can always interact with me and I can answer any questions you might have. All you're going to need to do is just simply email me, training@sfrep.com, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Now, of course, if you are doing this live right now, all you got to do is use the chat. So the chat is going to be on the right-hand side of the screen. But if you have this video in theater mode, which you can access by using the little rectangle box that's down along the bottom, that'll give you a bigger view of the video, and that will move the chat down to the bottom. Okay. Now you can also go full screen by using the little bracket icons, but if you do that, you are going to lose the chat. So just keep that in mind. Okay. And periodically I will check and see what you guys are asking, and I'll answer any questions you guys have. All right. So we will go ahead and get started. This is one of my screens here. We're going to go ahead and open up Appraise-It Pro. Now, you, of course, as I told you in the last video, in the last webinar, you're not going to see the splash screen. That's going to come up on the other side. But in just a second, it will load up Appraise-It Pro for us. Here it goes. And just going to check on you guys if we're there. All right, good. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open up a blank 1004 here. I'm just going to use the default template. So the first thing I want to show you, and sometimes I do and sometimes I don't go over this in the introduction, but that is the automatic shrinking text. One of my favorite features in Appraise-It Pro. So the easiest way to show you at work is I'm just going to type in terrible typing ship. We're going to type in the city of Charlotte here. Now I can do it a second time. I have enough room. But obviously you can see that I'm not going to be able to fit a third Charlotte in there. But if I have the automatic shrinking text turned on, which it is by default, you can turn it off if you don't like it. You can see that now I can fit 3 Charlottes in there. And if it was along with all of the other text that is in the form, you'd really be hard pressed to be able to tell that it has shrunk that text down. And it's going to do it automatically. Now, if I do Charlotte again, you can see it runs off the cell. So I can't fit 4, but I can fit 3 in there. Where this really comes in handy is not in something like the city field. It is going to be, first of all, either like the property address. Sometimes there's a really long property address, but where it really comes into its own is if you have a multi-line field. So something like this down here. As you keep typing additional information, it will keep shrinking. And when you have more than just one cell to be able to shrink your text, when you have an entire like 3 lines, you can fit a good extra sentence, maybe even a sentence and a half in there before it trips over into the extended comment. So that's where it really becomes handy. And it is not going to shrink down into tiny text that you can't read. It's only going to shrink it down to a certain point, then it will stop. And if you are in one of these green fields, which are the extended, or excuse me, well, this is an extended comment field, but other fields that are like this one right here, it is an extended comment field. It will, because it has the darker blue color right over here, then it's going to shrink the text down to a point, and then it will trip you over into extended comments. Now, one of the things that I did go over in the introduction courses that we were doing specifically for folks moving over from ACI during their security hack, but I don't usually go over in a lot of our webinars for the introduction to Appraise-It Pro, is how to import data into Appraise-It Pro. Now, there's 2 ways you can really do this. The first one is you can just use the comp manager, which is under tools, and just comp manager. And in that case, you're not really importing anything into the report. You're just getting information out of the database that was automatically put there by Appraise-It Pro as you're moving through and working with appraisal reports. But you can actually go in and purposely extract information from an existing report. And the way you're going to do that is the first thing you're going to do is make sure you have either a blank report open or at least a report open that doesn't have that particular section or comp or addendum filled out. Okay. So right now I'm just going to do it with a blank report so you can see how this works. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the backstage by clicking on the file menu right there. And the best way to do this is to do a search. Now, as I said in my earlier webinars, I don't use this for doing appraisals. If I fill this information out, there's really no point in doing a search. I've got like 6 reports that are in my database. So we're just going to pretend I filled out something here, and then I'm going to click on search, and it's going to show me, in this case, everything I have in my database, which is like 6 or 7 reports. So we're going to use this one right here, sample ua5.rpt. All right. So over here on the right-hand side, it's going to be me the front view photo, and it's going to give me some pertinent data about that particular report, just to make sure I know that that's the report. And I can scroll out here to the right and make sure that I have all the data. You know, I can look at all the data that is stored about that particular address and make sure I have the right report. And I know I do. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one of 2 things. I can either right click here and select import forms or import comparables, or I can just simply single click on it, highlight it, and then come over here and use these buttons. They do the same thing, kind of redundant, but you can do either or. So I want to import comps. Don't worry about, especially for those of you who are new to Appraise-It Pro, who are coming over maybe from ACI or something, don't worry about print scheme. This is for people that are moving over from our old Appraise-It Classic. You may want to use this print scheme for doing an import. It'll tell you what you need to know right here, but in this case, we're just going to close that. Okay, so in this particular case, you know what? This may not be the best report to do that with. Let's try this one right here. It's going to take a second. There we go. Okay. So that other report was something I'd monkeyed around with, and I don't think it had any data in it that I could use. All right. So here we are listing the street addresses and what they are designated as over here in this section. And then right here, we're going to select our destination. So let's say I want to grab comps 1 and 3 out of this report and put them into the report I'm currently working on. So I am going to come over here and I'm going to say none for this one. And I'm going to say none for these because I don't want to grab these. And the only ones I want to grab are 1 and 3, and we're going to put them into the sales comparables. Now, over here in the lower right, I have these checkboxes for override existing comparables and include adjustments. If I did have comparables there, I would want to just go ahead and overwrite them. I could uncheck this in this case because I don't have any comparables in this particular report, but I can just leave it like this for now because I don't care if it overwrites anything because there's nothing there. And I do want to include the adjustments. So I'm going to go ahead and click on import. Importing will overwrite data. This is just one of those things where it's like, hey, let's make sure we're clear here. You're going to overwrite data already in the report. Do you want to continue? Yes, I do. And now when I come over here and I come down here now, I'm going to get these red sections here because this particular report was a non-UAD report. It just happens to be I grabbed one that wasn't a UAD report. So these are not proper. So obviously you would, if you were doing a UAD report, you would grab a UAD report so that you wouldn't get these, but you're also seeing the real-time validation in action right here. Okay. So condition isn't supposed to be good. So I could come over here and just say a C3 or something, hit apply. And now you'll notice that that's no longer red. So you can come in here and you can clean this up if you need to, if you did something like what I did, which was grab non-UAD and put it into a UAD, but you understand. And what I want to do now is I want to get rid of this because I don't like all those reds. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do clear comp. Now, for some of you who take the non-ACI customer introduction, I probably didn't go over this, but one of the ways that you can clear out comps here is by simply right-clicking anywhere in that comp, and I can do a clear comp. Say yes, and it's gone. I can also copy and paste comps this way as well, so I can right-click on this comp, and I can do cut comp, and then bring it back over here, and I can do paste comp, and that essentially moves the comp. Now you can do this also with the comp manager, but if you just want to do it from within Appraise-It Pro, it's in your right click menu. That's all you got to do. That's also where you can go to change numeric formatting, to change your rounding. I've had to go over this quite a bit with folks coming over from ACI. So this is where you're going to change your rounding. You can change your numeric format. You can show a plus sign, show a dollar sign. Just keep in mind that the settings as they are by default comply with UAD formatting. So if you go and you change some of these, that might turn your field red because it might violate UAD formatting. So just keep that in mind. So I'm going to go ahead and clear this comp out of here. And we'll say yes. Okay, getting the photos into your report. Now, of course, if you come over here to tools, we do have the image manager. And if you're unfamiliar, I don't have it set up right now to use the image manager, but it's really simple to use the image manager. All you have to do is go find some photos. They'll show up here, and you just simply drag and drop them into your report. And you can use this little pull down menu here and it's going to list all of your different photo pages. And then you just simply drag and drop the photos into your report. But for those of you who are coming over from ACI, there is an easier way to do this. It might not be the quickest way but it's going to be the easiest way for you to do off the bat. And then once you've kind of got that down pat, we actually have a video on how to use Image Manager that will explain everything for you. But it's a pretty self-explanatory if you want to start using that. But one of the things I can do with Appraise-It Pro, and I've kind of made Appraise-It Pro a little bit smaller here so we can see how this works. I'm going to come over here to sales comparable photos 1 through 3. And I just have this little image here that I've put onto my desktop just to kind of demonstrate this. Now, this drag and drop method will work from any folder from your desktop, or it will work from most photo management programs which support drag and drop, which is most Windows programs do. Some may not, but most do. So to demonstrate this, I just have an image, just a JPEG sitting on my desktop. And what I can do is just simply click and drag. That's the easiest way to put photos into your report. Super simple. Now you can also double click here and you can browse them in. So I could just browse it in like that. A little bit extra clicks, but if that floats your boat, that's fine. I can right click here and I can clear it. I can also right click here and I can paste something in. So if I come over here, and I think Windows will let me do this. Will it let me do this? I know they let you do it, I think in Windows 10, but they may have taken it out of Windows 11. So I think, oh no, there it is. Is that it? Yeah, so I can do a copy here. So they just made it into an icon. So I can copy, and now I can right click and I can paste the photo in. Or let's right click and clear. I'm going to open this up in a photo viewer. In my case, I use a program called IrfanView. Highly recommend it. Great thing about IrfanView is it's really good it's just a real simplistic program to be able to view your photos. But the other cool thing that it does is you can do editing. So you can, it has a little paint dialog, so you can blank people's faces out in photos. You can crop, you can do tons of cool things with it, adjust gamma and brightness and all that kind of stuff. But we're just going to say this is just a random photo viewing program. I'm going to actually, I think I have to go up here in this program. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to select copy, close out of the program. And now I can come in here. I can do paste as well. So you can copy and paste whether it is from the desktop or you're copying and pasting from your favorite image program. So just keep that in mind. Drag and drop, copy and pasting, browsing in. I can also come in here. We'll clear this out. I can also come here, right click, and I can do acquire. And I don't know if I do have my scanner set up. So what I could do here is I have a scanner, this LaserJet MFP, and I can select it from the list. And then it'll open up the scanning interface for that particular scanner, and I can scan a photo in. Probably not going to do that with a photo. You're probably going to do that more with document pages or something like that. But it is available to you. You can do that anywhere where there is a purple image box. And we do have, a lot of people will use our map photo page or our map pages. So if I just do it, if I just do map, and we'll just do general map. I'll add it to the report down at the bottom, open that up. And you can see that the general map page is really just a page that is a giant image box. And so here I could right click, select acquire, and scan in a document or something like that. And it will have the headers up at the top. You can also use the word processing pages with headers, and you could add the photo in as if it's a Word document. The same thing. It accomplishes the same thing. Let's check on you guys. No. Okay, so remember, if you have any questions, go ahead and put it in the chat. I'm just periodically checking to see if you guys have any questions. Okay. Creating a template. Sometimes I go over this, sometimes I don't. So we're going to go over it right now real quick. A template in Appraise-It Pro is nothing more than a regular report file that has been promoted to template status. That's it. That's all it is. And remember from the original Introduction to Appraise-It Pro course that I do, that the templates are available when you select the report type. In this case, I'm doing it under frequently used UAD Uniform Residential Appraisal Report. And I have a bunch of templates here. So I can go ahead and open up one of my templates if I want to. That's how you access them. But how do you create them? So the easiest way is to just start with a blank template. Clean this up, get rid of, let's say if you don't ever use the flood map, get rid of it. We'll get rid of this general map page. Maybe I am going to pre-fill some things. So maybe I'm doing one that is specifically that's always going to be, let's say for a specific zip code in Charlotte. So we'll do Charlotte, NC 28226. And I'll fill out some other associated information for that. Maybe scan in my insurance or licenses or whatever you want to do. When you've got it the way you want to start future appraisals, you're just going to simply come here to Home, go to Save As Template. You're going to give it a name, training in this case. Hit save, and that's it. That's all you got to do. Now, if I come over here and I'm on the UAD 1004, look at it. There it is, training. And that's how you start something. So it's really, really simple. And if you want to get rid of it, trash can icon, say yes, and now it's gone. So working with templates, for those of you coming over from Appraise-It Classic, game changer for you guys, because making skeletons was kind of a pain in the butt in Appraise-It Classic. And Appraise-It Pro, super, super easy. Something I do want to go over. And in order to do this, I need to get an appraisal that has some information in it. So we'll do this one right here. Oh, and this is, for those of you, I'm going to be going over security in Appraise-It Pro here in a little while. This is the result of that security. I've locked this appraisal report, so it has to have a password to be opened and has to have a password in order to edit it as well. So that's what I'm doing right now. I've just made it password just so I can always remember. Okay, so now we have a regular appraisal report. And there is, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to clear out this particular comp so you can see this here. Now, for those of you who are moving from Appraise-It Classic, and actually, as I found out from those of you who are coming over from ACI, we do have some shortcuts, text shortcuts that you can use. Okay. So, and I believe they're the same in ACI, but correct me if I'm wrong. So if I want to copy the view from the subject, I can just do =S, tab out, and it's going to copy that over for me. If I want to do it from comp 1, =1, and it's going to copy it over for me. But if I'm going to be using the same across all of them, I can also do ==, and it's going to put everything over there for me. Now, there's one other option you have, because somebody requested this, but we put it in there. Let's say you're over here already, and you just want to make it the same as the subject. All you have to do is click on the same as subject button, and it's going to do the same thing. But if you want, you can do the same. You can have the same effect by just doing =S. Or if you wanted to make everything like it was in comp 1, you could do ==1, and it's going to copy everything from comp 1 over into the additional comparables as well. And you can do that in all of the comp and listing pages. Has that available to you. Searching. Sometimes I go over this, sometimes I don't, so I'm going to go over it real quick. This search, now I go over the searching for you for sure, but how you customize the search, this is all completely customizable. So those of you who are with me in the ACI training that we did last week, you've already seen this, but sometimes some of the people that are coming over from Classic, I don't do that in the introduction class because I try to keep that class to maybe 30 minutes to 40 minutes. So this is completely customizable. So If, let's say, you are licensed in the state of North Carolina, you're never going to be searching by state, so you can get rid of this. So I can click here and say yes, and it's going to be gone. However, the other thing I can do with it is I could change it. So instead of it being city, I just use the pull-down menu, and I can make it gross living area. But of course, then it's going to be in a weird place. We don't want gross living area there. So I can use these little arrow keys to move it down in the list. And I'm just going to put it, I guess, right here. Now, let's say you get licensed in the state of South Carolina, because I'm in Charlotte, and Charlotte is right on the border of North and South Carolina. So a lot of appraisers here are licensed in both states. So if I've gotten licensed in South Carolina, I'm going to start searching by state again. So if I, in this case, I'm going to get rid of state. Yes, there you go. I can use this little add field. So I don't have state here anymore. I can use add field, come down here, and I can select state. But of course, now it's in a weird position, so I can just use the up arrows to put it back after city, which is where it belongs. Oh, did I think I did something wrong. Yeah, I did. Instead of changing state, I think I did it with city. So in actuality, we want this to be city. There it is. And then now I can come over here. I can add state in. There we go. Now we fixed it the way it should be. So let's put this up on the list, because I've got to do this anyway for the next class that I do. It goes back down. Okay, county, city, state, zip. There we go. That's what I want. So this is all completely customizable. And of course, remember, you can always scroll out here to the right to see all the data that is stored in the database about that particular address. Here you can also access the work file. Now, for those of you in ACI, this is going to be a concept that you're fairly familiar with. But for those of you moving over from AppraiseIt Classic, this is going to be a little bit of a new concept. So whenever you click on the work file button, whether it's here in the search or it's over here in the home menu, because it's there as well, whenever you click on the work file button, if you've never done that before, it is going to create a folder in Windows that is always going to be associated with this particular address, okay? So where you're really going to do this more than likely is when you have a report open and you come over here to home, you're going to click on work file, because the whole point of me creating a work file is I want to dump some photos or some PDFs or whatever, just files that are going to want to be associated with that particular appraisal report, but maybe I didn't put it in the actual report itself. But hey, if somebody comes to me 2 years from now, this may support my evaluation, so I want to go ahead and have it in there so I can at least find it very easily. Now you can see in here, I've just dumped some random photos in here. My hobby is transportation photography, so that's what these images are here. So that's what I've dumped in here, but you can put whatever you want here. It can be PDFs, it can be Word documents, it can be photos that you didn't use, whatever. You just dump them in here, and then they're easily found by doing a search for a particular report. And when you find that report, which is this one right here, I can go to open work file, and there they are. Well, this is a different report, but they would just be sitting in here for me to be able to look at them. Really simple. Next, we are going to be, rearranging panels. Okay, so I've gone over a little bit of how you can customize the look and feel of AppraiseIt Pro as far as how you deal with it. Now, remember, we do have a tabbed interface here up at the top, so as I open up additional addenda, they're going to open up in tabs. I can then rearrange those tabs by clicking and dragging them, and I can also pull them out just like you could with a web browser, and I can put them on a different monitor if I want, or I can put them back by just clicking the tab and then popping it back in there. Now, these panels that are over here on the right-hand side are also customizable. Now, if you're working on a lower-end laptop, or maybe an older laptop that only has maybe a 720p screen, AppraiseIt Pro is meant for at least a 1080p screen. So when you are using AppraiseIt Pro, it might look something more like, let's see if I can do a 720p screen. Probably a little bit more like that. This is obviously going to be very hard for you to see. So what you can do is you can actually pull these panels out, and they can be free floating. I could even pull them out, and I could tab them all together in a free floating window by using this little wheel here, the one that looks like has a little tab right there. I can use that. So I can tab everything up and just have it be a free floating window. And that free floating window is always going to stay on top. So I could just kind of resize it, put it where I need to go. And then I've got all of my tabs down here at the bottom if I need to go through them. You could also do this on another monitor. So if you're on a desktop that has more than one monitor, or if you're in a docking station, you have more than one monitor for your laptop, you could do this as well. You could also take this whole stack here and have it be a one mega panel over here on the left-hand side that you can then flip through. Now, as I tell you guys in the precursor webinar to this, sometimes you're going to do something crazy like this and you're going to freak out and you're like, I don't know what I just did. It's normal when you're playing around with this stuff. Don't worry. All you got to do is come to the view menu in Appraise-It Pro, click on reset to default, say yes, and it'll put everything back the way that it was. Couple of little goofy things here that I'll go over with you real quick. Let's say that you need to insert a date and this probably would have been more helpful when we were first doing UAD standards and all that stuff, but you can still use it. If you come up here to home, or excuse me, I think it's actually in, now I can't even remember where it is. Darn it. There is, I think it's in the text field. Yeah, that's where it is. Duh. Okay. So you're under the text field, when you're in a text field, where am I right now? Let's say I am here. Let's just say I need to put a date in there. All I got to do is come up here, insert date. And if it's today's date, I can click on today, or I can click on a further date in time by going back and forth, but I'm just going to do today. And it's going to pop a UAD proper formatted date into that date field. And as we all know, proper UAD formatted date would be 2-digit month, 2-digit day, 2-digit year. All right. Okay. There's also something you can do that you can do the same thing with the census tract. And it is under home. And, or is it? Gosh, it's been too long because I haven't done it. Where is census tract? Oh, it's under services. Oh, the reason it's under services is because it's web-based. So it has to go out to the internet to get this. But if you don't have your census tract in there already, and you don't want to do a flood map to get it, because if you do a flood map, it's going to grab the census tract. As long as you have your address in there, you can just come over here to services, because it is an online service, and then click on get census tract. We're going to say, it's going to already have this information already filled out for me. I'm going to say get census tract. It's going to go out to a government server, grab the proper census tract, and pop it in there for me. So doesn't cost anything extra. It's free. So if that's all you were using the flood mapping for, you can do it for free. Just grab the census tract by clicking this little button under services. We do go over how to use these responses in the original Getting Started webinar, but there is one that I sometimes don't go over. Now we go over how you can just do double click to put that in there. Or if it's been assigned an F key, you can hit F3 and it's going to put it in there as that way. Or you can do my favorite, the autocomplete. But there's also one other. If you want to stay on the keyboard, you don't want to pick up your mouse, because Appraise-It Pro is really good at being able to be used without the mouse. You can just do it with the keyboard, stay on the keyboard. You can start really, when you get familiar with it, burning through appraisal reports. One thing you can do is you can hit F2. It'll pull up the list of the different responses available to you, and then you can just use your arrow keys to fill out or to select whatever you want and hit that key. Now, this could be very helpful to you if you wanted to, for whatever reason, get rid of the responses panel. So let's say that you don't need the responses panel because you're going to be doing this. So we can get rid of that. We don't need the help because we've been doing this for a very long time. And we don't need the UAD helper because we already know all the UAD formatting. Boom, there we go. Now we've got a little bit more space to work with. And if I need to access the comments, I just hit F2, select them from the list, and pop it in there. And remember, if you do that and you want to go back, you just click reset the default, or you could select the responses panel and the format panel, and it'll put them back for you that way as well. But I'm just going to reset everything to the default. There we go. Let me check on you guys. Have any questions? Donald says, can you copy the entire comp? Yes, you can. I don't know how long. I may have already answered this question before I saw that, Donald, but if not, I can copy the entire comp. I can come over here to comp number 1, right click anywhere in there. Doesn't matter where, just anywhere in there, even if it's in the adjustments. I'm going to right click. I'm going to say copy comp. And then I'm going to right click here and I'm going to select paste comp. And now what it's done is it's pasted that comp, but it's also pasted the photo. So that's important to know. So it pastes the photo and the photo information. So if I come in here, what is this? Comp number 2. So if I come in here to sales comps 1 through 3, you'll see that it's copied comp 1 to comp 2, and it does the photo and this data over here as well. So everything gets copied over. Good question. Let me switch back over here. Okay. Now, you can adjust the editing area size. So this is our editing area. Of course, remember, Appraise-It Pro, like all other software, is WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. So this is a direct representation of the printed form. But once again, maybe you have a cheaper laptop or you have an older laptop, lower resolution screen you're working with. Maybe you're using a 32-inch TV as your monitor and maybe it's only 720p. You didn't know that when you bought it. Either way, you're going to, your space is going to be at a premium. So what you can do is you can actually zoom in or zoom out the size of the report. And actually, if you keep zooming out, it's going to double it up. This can be very helpful if you are on, let's say, a 4K monitor. And I've seen people do this. They have like a 55-inch TV bolted to the wall in front of them, and they're using that as their monitor, and it's a 4K. So you're going to have a lot more fidelity here to work with. Now, obviously, on a 1080p monitor, this becomes a little bit too small to be able to really see it well. But on a 4K, you'd be able to see it really well. But I can also do the opposite of that, and I can zoom in as well. So if I'm on a low-resolution monitor, now, of course, there's always a trade-off, and that trade-off is that I can't see the whole thing in one shot, but I can just scroll over left and right. And, of course, as I move through these, it's going to automatically show me that particular field and jump around in the zoom in. But by default, you can click on here. By default, it's going to be set to fit to width. Hit OK. And now, no matter how I resize Appraise-It Pro, it is going to show me the form so that it fits in between my panels here. All right, report security. This is a big one, especially for those of you who are coming over from Appraise-It Classic. And really for those of you who are, I think, coming over from ACI, because I think ACI did this, but I'm not 100% sure. In Appraise-It Classic, possibly in ACI, the security was tied to your signature. That is not the case in Appraise-It Pro anymore. And the reason we did this is because it was more what they call security theater in Appraise-It Classic. Yes, when you signed it, if you had the report open in Appraise-It Classic, you could not edit it. But there were ways around that. I'm not going to tell you what those ways are, but we were able to somewhat easily, since we knew what we were doing, get around that and edit the report. So it wasn't an ideal situation, and it certainly wasn't what, it's going to be secure from Bob down the hall, but it's not going to be secure from somebody who has malicious intent and knows what they're doing and wants to get in there. So what we did was we added military-grade encryption to Appraise-It Pro. And it's no longer tied to the signature. So I can actually apply my signature to a report at any time. Doesn't matter when. I can pop that signature on there and be done with it. Once that signature is on there, I can still edit the report. So signing the report does nothing to keep it from being edited. Instead, what you're going to do is you're going to come up here to Home, and you're right next to Sign Report is Secure Report. So when I click on that, I have two options. And I've already done it in this case. So I'm going to uncheck these to unsecure this report. Now, I have the option to secure the report against editing or secure the report from being opened at all. So if I just want to protect the report, there's no reason to do both. It doesn't like double up the security or anything. If I just want to password protect it from being opened, maybe I want to send this report to somebody, a colleague, and I feel a little bit weird about sending it over email. Remember that report files, both the Appraise-It Pro report files and MISMO XML, that is a non-secure format. It's just standard XML, and so it can easily be viewed and manipulated. So If you are sending it over email to somebody and you want to make sure that it remains secure in transit, you can require a password to open the report. And here you're going to check the checkbox, and then you are going to pick a password. Now you can pick something as easy as password 123. However, I don't recommend that. You're going to want to pick a password with upper and lower case, with numbers, maybe with an exclamation point or an asterisk or something that is hard to guess and hard to break. Okay. And try not to use the same one over and over again. I know that there's a temptation there, but try variations on a theme. So I can just put in a password here. Oops. There we go. I'm going to hit OK, save the report. And now I'm going to exit this report. Wait, what report is this? Pro sample? Okay. So now I'm going to exit the report. Now I'm going to come back over here to open, and was it this one right here? So I'm going to click on it, and now it's going to prompt me for that password to unlock the report. I'm going to type in the password, and now I have full access to the report. Now you can also come back over here, secure the report, and I can add a password to edit the report. So I can make these two different passwords if I want. We'll save it, close it, come back over here to open. Whoops, I already was on open. There we go. There we go. That opens the report. Now, let's say, hey, this is a password protected. This report is protected to prevent unauthorized editing. If you do not have the password, you'll not be able to edit it. Well, maybe I didn't give them the password. I just want them to be able to look at the report. I don't want them to be able to modify the report. So do I want to unlock this report now? No, because I don't know what the password is. Now you could send it to a colleague or somebody, and they could look at the report, but they cannot open it, and it's still secure. It's still secure while it's in transit, and now it's secure from somebody being able to come in here and do anything with it and manipulate it in any way. Now, of course, you cannot secure the report and then send it to a lender or an AMC or something like that, because they're not going to be able to open it, and it's not going to be in the XML format. So just keep that in mind. But this will keep things secure on your end from prying eyes. And what it's basically doing is using 256-bit encryption based upon whatever your password that you choose is. So it's an algorithm for that particular password. So the password basically is the key to unlock the encryption. So if you forget that password, let's just say don't forget the password. All right. Okay. Let's see. I'm just kind of going through here. One quick thing on the validator. Usually I mention this. Sometimes I don't. Actually, let me get a report here that I can actually open up. No. This time I do want to say yes. There we go. Okay. Remember that the validation, we're doing real-time validation and we're doing comprehensive validation. You do the comprehensive validation by clicking on the validate button at the end of when you're done with the report, and it will run it through the big validation. We're just going to check everything. Okay. But you're going to need to make sure that you're using the proper rule set. Most of the time I go over this, sometimes I forget. This rule set, it's imperative that you select the right one. Not imperative, because FHA and the UAD rule set, which is UCDP, are almost identical. There are a couple of key differences though. So if you're doing an FHA report, make sure you select FHA. If you're doing a UAD standard report, make sure you select standard. That way it's going to be checking on the right rule set to make sure that you're following all of the rules and everything, and all of the different formatting rules and everything they've set forth. For those of you who are, and I'm going to wrap this up here real quick. Let me check and see if you guys have any questions. We're doing okay. All right, good. What I'm about to tell you is going to apply to both those of you coming over from ACI and those of you who are coming over from Appraise-It Classic. And it has to do with ACI actually. And this is because ACI does a lot of people found this out the hard way when they had their security hack and they just kind of went off the radar for a week. ACI also does back-end portal development. So the portals that you use to send your report, to upload your report from a web page, that's a portal. And those portals that are operated by AMCs and lenders, some of them used ACI's portal software, which ACI calls Sky. Now, they use the Sky branding for a lot of different things. One of them is their back-end portal is called Sky. It's Sky something, and I don't remember what it is. But if your lender is using the Sky portal, one of the things that ACI does is it scrapes the PDF for data. And for some reason that I'm going to fault them a little bit on it. Like, it's kind of a boneheaded thing. I'm just going to come out and say it. They hard-coded all of their scraping. So they made a scraping file specific for Appraise-It Classic, saying that when you have something from Appraise-It Classic, the data is going to be in this exact, let's say, longitude and latitude on the report. You know what I mean? The X and Y axis. It's going to be right here, and this is where you scrape it from. Problem with that is if the software vendor that you're supporting ever changes something, like maybe going from Appraise-It Classic to Appraise-It Pro and using a different PDF engine, changes things, and now you have to go back and you have to redo it all from scratch. Well, ACI has, I don't know what's going on with their programming department, but they don't have as many programmers as they used to, and they just didn't have the resources to be able to change it for Appraise-It Pro. They're probably also not very motivated to do it either. We offered to do it for them. We went back and forth with them. Hey, can you please do this? Like, we really need you to change this. They never did. They wouldn't do it. So we came up with a workaround, which is that when we generate a PDF, if we know that it's going to ACI, to an ACI Sky portal, that you can use a special under here under orders, you can use this ACI Sky export. And what it's going to do is it's going to use the Appraise-It Classic report engine and PDF engine in order to generate your report. Now, you don't have to have Appraise-It Classic installed. It has it all built into Pro, but it's going to use that older engine to generate it. Now, there is a big gotcha there in that there's a lot of stuff that Appraise-It Pro can do that Appraise-It Classic couldn't. And there's a lot of, forms and addenda that Appraise-It Pro supports that Classic didn't. Okay. So if I had done this whole thing in Appraise-It Pro mode and been doing a lot of different stuff to it and adding cool addenda and everything, when I come here to ACI Sky, it's going to give me an error message saying, hey, this isn't going to be supported. You know, we can send it along as an image, but, you know, the actual form isn't going to be supported properly with the PDF, and it'll let you know. Now, to avoid that happening, you can do what some Appraise-It Classic people who are moving over to Pro but aren't quite sure if they're going to continue, like, if they're not going to make that big break from Classic over to Pro. They're going to kind of learn Pro while they're still using Classic. We have this Appraise-It Classic compatibility. So if you're coming over from ACI, or if you are using Pro and you're using an ACI Sky platform, if the report's going to go to an ACI Sky portal, you can engage Appraise-It Classic compatibility. And what it's going to do is when you do this, it's going to disable everything in Pro that's not supported by Classic. Okay, so that when you go and you generate a Mismo XML for ACI Sky export, you're not going to run into any compatibility issues. But it also has the ability to let people coming over from the older Appraise-It Classic, current SFREP customers who are moving over to Pro, it gives you guys the ability to backport your report back to Appraise-It Classic. So if you're coming over from Classic and coming over to Pro and you're going to be using both of them for a little bit, maybe, and you want to have that ability to abandon Pro because you don't know how to do something in it, maybe it's the middle of the night or something, and you want to go back to Classic and finish it up, make sure that when you start your report, at least for a little while, engage the Appraise-It Classic compatibility. That way you'll be able to easily export it back out to Appraise-It Pro using this icon right here, which is Appraise-It Classic export. So that way you'll be able to backport it back to Appraise-It Classic and use it. But for those of you who need the compatibility with the ACI Sky export, engage this if you know this report is going to a portal that uses the ACI Sky. That way you won't use anything that is not supported. That's a lot, and I may have gone around the tree in order to get there. If that doesn't make any sense, just let me know in the chat, or you can email you can email tech@sfrep.com, or you can email training@sfrep.com. I'll be glad to get back with you and kind of maybe explain it in a little bit better way. It's kind of a little bit complicated. So, Let's see. If you come over here, one of the things I do want to show you under the edit menu, here's where you can insert a PDF. The PDF can be as many pages as you want. It can have as many photos. It can be as large as you want, and you can put as many of them in there as you want. So whenever you insert a PDF, I'm not going to do it right now because I don't think I have any right now, but if you click on this, you're just going to browse in your PDF, and then it's going to add a PDF addenda to your list here, and you can have multiple PDF addenda, and you can rename them as well. So if you were to come over here, and you could just click on the rename button and then rename that PDF. You can do the same thing with Word documents or with Open Office documents. So if you don't have actual Word or Office and you're using Open Office or LibreOffice, we support those as well, but we also support, of course, Microsoft Word. And you can directly import a Microsoft Word document as well, and it'll open it up in a word processing document, and you can then go and edit it and make any changes you want. But the other cool thing you can do here is you can clear a form, or you can, so if you have, let's say, let's see if I can find something that has some data in it. I don't think I have any with this, but if I had a report open that had, like, let's say I had like some addendums, like some HUD addendum open, and I want to clear it out, I just go open up that addendum, make sure I'm on it in my tabbed interface here and I'm seeing it. And then I can just do clear form and it'll wipe the entire thing clean and I can start over. You can also clear your extended comments, or you can clear both. So if you just want to wipe a report clean, nuke the whole thing, start from scratch, you can just click on clear both and it's going to wipe everything out for you. There's a couple of things it is going to keep in there because, like, you know, the property address, you're going to have to go in and wipe those out yourself, but it's going to clear almost everything in your report. Here's where you can also change the report fonts, and you can do a spell check as well. When you do a validation, though, it's going to do the spell check for you. Let's see. We'll skip that. I'm just kind of going through here because I don't want to take too much longer here. Scripting. If you are somebody who has a programming background, there is a very powerful scripting language built into Appraise-It Pro that will virtually allow you to do almost anything within the report. And you can actually go out to outside of Appraise-It Pro and grab stuff from, like, say, like an Excel spreadsheet or a Word document or whatever. So it allows you full capability to move around in the report, have Appraise-It Pro do things that it doesn't do out of the box. It's really versatile, and it's something that, to my knowledge, none of the other appraisal software suites let you do. So if you have a programming background, you can insert your script using this little thing right here to run a script. And if you have multiple scripts here, you can pull them down and they'll be listed. There's also scripting that you can put stuff into the cell. I think I had one of them. I don't know if I still have it in here. I don't think so. No, I do. So if I open this up, you see that if I use this, it has a script here, some programming gobbledygook there. And if I tab out, it puts your date in there. Of course, that's violating the formatting for that field, but you can see that's just a really simple script here. Just kind of let you see that you can do actual dates and actual very complex scripts too. That's just a very simple one. Now, if you don't have a programming background, you can contact our tech support, and for $50 an hour, they will write a script for you. So if there's something you really want Appraise-It Pro to do, you can contract with them, and they will run that. They will write that script for you. You can also ask them if they have any scripts that they've created for other people, and usually once they're created, then we don't charge you for them. But if you have one that you want created, they can do that for you. And then the final thing I want to show you here is, because for some reason people keep doing this, there are two ways to contact us via web form. One of them is send feedback, and that's going to open up a web page here where you can come over here. It'll give you our contact information, but you can also send some feedback here. Now, only use this if you have some suggestions for us. What it does is it's gonna go to some key people within our organization, and they will be able to reply back and answer what you were talking about, and, maybe forward it on to the correct people. However, it does not send it to tech support. So if you try to use this for tech support, it'll eventually get there, but it's going to take a lot longer. If you need to email tech support, go ahead and use this little email button. And of course, we also have the chat support. I love chat support. I'm a Gen Xer, not a millennial. I know millennials love chat because who wants to talk to somebody on the phone when you don't have to? But there is a really good reason for using the chat, and that is that if you need to get in contact with tech support, and they may be, a lot of them are all on the phone with each other, a tech support person can only deal with one phone call at a time, but they can deal with 2 or 3 chats at a time. So if you use this chat, you will get in touch with somebody a lot quicker. And maybe if you have a quick question, or if you just want to say, hey, can somebody call me back? You can use the chat for that. All right. All right. So let's tackle some of these questions. Donald says, can you go over Apex Sketch? I have a video. I have not used Apex in a very long time since I did the video on it. If you go to our YouTube, which is sfrep.com, or excuse me, it's youtube.com/sfrep. We do have a video on Apex. And then Apex also does their own training, and they have their own training videos they can send you. Now, as far as the integration of Apex with Appraise-It Pro, it's built into Appraise-It Pro already. So if you want to use the Apex that you had with, let's say, ACI, or if you purchased it with some other software provider, because I'm pretty sure, Donald, you were coming from ACI, if I remember correctly, then you want to contact our tech support, and what they'll be able to do is sometimes Apex will get confused on who it's supposed to be talking to, and they can fix that so that it talks to Appraise-It Pro, and then you'll be able to use Apex with Appraise-It Pro. Even though Apex only supports version 7, I think, we actually support all the way back to, I think, Apex Medina, which is Apex version 4. So if you have an old Apex 6 or 5 or something like that, even though Apex is not going to support it any longer, we still do, so you can still use it if you wish. Let's see, any of these others here. Troy says, can you, there's no space. Can you timestamp your videos with chapters? The regular videos that are uploaded, I think, all have chapters on them. I don't know if I can do that with live streams. I'll have to check into that. I'll check into that, and if possible, I'll look into doing that for you guys. Richard asks, how do you add an aerial map in addition to the location map with comps as an additional page and set it in a template? Okay, let's jump back over here. Okay, so if I add, and let me actually close this out. Let me open up a blank 1004. And we're going to need an address. Okay, so I don't live here anymore. This is the house I grew up in, though, so I just always use it. Let's see here. Now, if I come over here to services, because the street maps is going to be a service, the first thing I can do, of course, is come through here, and I don't have any comps in this report, but it's going to still work the same. We're going to click on Get Map. There is my, I'm going to use the scroll wheel on my mouse, or I can use this up here to kind of zoom out a little bit. And there we go. Now, if this was a report that had like a front view photo, that front view photo would be shown here. But there it is. There is a map showing where this particular house is. Okay. So now I can transfer that to the report. We'll close out, and now there should be in the location map. There it is. Now it looks a little pixelated here. That's just the way that Appraise-It Pro is showing it. When it gets made into a PDF or printed onto a document, it's not all pixelated like that. It just has to do with the way that it's blowing up like a thumbnail, essentially. Okay, now, but what you asked was, okay, well, that's all great and all, but can I add a aerial map as well? And you can. You can go to Street Maps. We'll open it back up. Pull it back over here. We're going to go ahead and get map. This time I'm going to do aerial, so I'm going to use this little radio button here at the top. I'm going to zoom it out a little bit. We'll put that right there. Get it the way we want. There we go. Now, right now, it's going to put it in the location map. If I've added a general map page to my report already, it would be listed in this list, and I could go ahead and transfer it to that. But if I have forgotten to do that, I can click on the little green plus here, and it will add general map page 1, transfer to the report. close it. Now it's going to put it just down at the bottom here, but there it is, general map 1. And I can even move this up here so it's after the location map. And this is a renamable addendum, so I can click on rename. And I can just say from above, whatever, aerial, whatever I want to put in there. And now it's in there and I know exactly what it is. So hopefully that answers your question. Definitely possible. Richard also asked, drawing interior lines is very cumbersome and time consuming. How do I add new labels for rooms, etc. for future use? Okay, so I'm assuming you're referring to Sketch-It. So I'm going to go ahead and come over here to Tools, open up Sketch-It, pull this over. Let's just add a real quick, just basic house here. So we'll do 50 feet to the right, 30 feet down, 50 feet to the left. I'm going to do a Control C to close it, or you can do a Control K if you want to do a right angle close. So now here is our just basic house. And if I want to add actual text, I can click on here and I can come down here and I could select bedroom and put it here. Now, I think what you were asking though is, what if I have a different one that I want to add? So maybe I want to do, I can just type in home office and then I can hit OK, and then I can add home office here. And I think you were asking if there's a way that you can put them in there so they're available to you next time. There is, but unfortunately it's kind of you have to edit a text file. So what I'm going to say is go over to our tech support and they will show you how you can edit that text file. Actually, no, you can't. I forgot. We added this in here. You can do save. So I can do that. And then now home office will always be available to me because I've actually saved it to this. I had forgotten that you do that. You still have to, if you want to get rid of it, you have to go in and edit the text file, but you don't have to do that anymore just to add something. So that's how you do it. Just click on save when you use it and it'll put it back in the list for you. Donald says, came over from ACI. Yep. I remember you, Donald, from the previous webinars. Yeah. Troy asks, can you center photo captions? All right, let's get out of here. And let's come in here to general photos 3x5, add a photo in there. And I think what you mean is right here. Now those are going to auto center. So I don't know if you meant it. I think I see what you mean. So the photo caption, the first cell is going to be centered. But I guess you wanted to see if you could center this as well. And if you do, I believe you can right click here, go to paragraph and select center. And there you go. Then that's going to center it for you. So hopefully that answers your question, Troy. If not, let me know. Does anybody have any other questions? I'm using my phone down here. I usually use that to answer questions, but today I'm using it for an outline. So I have to keep switching back and forth to see what you guys are typing. So my apologies. Does anybody have any other questions? Remember, if you do have a question that you aren't going to get answered right now, or if you come up with later, or if you're watching the video after the fact, all you got to do is just simply send your question to training@sfrep.com. If you need immediate assistance, you can send it to tech@sfrep.com as well. All right. Let's see. Richard says, please show how you draw interior lines quickly in Sketch-It. Okay. Let's see. Come over here to Tools and Sketch-It. Now we have a full video on how to do Sketch-It. You can either go to support.sfrep.com and just do a search for Sketch-It. You can see the video there, or you can go to YouTube and just in the general search up there at the top of YouTube, you can just type in SFREP Sketch-It, and that's SKETCH-IT. And it will find the video on Sketch-It for you. The one that says Sketch-It in Appraise-It Pro. But we'll go ahead and we will show you in, let me get this pulled up there. There we go. So we'll show you here real quick how this works, okay? Let me go ahead and we'll let's go ahead and draw our fake house here. 50 to the right, 30 down. And then I can do Control K to do a right angle close. So it's Control C will do a one-step close. Control K will do a two-step right angle close because K for close. I don't know. I didn't choose these. All right. Interior walls. Very simple. What we're going to do is we're going to come up here, mouse over, and it's create lines. Now, interior walls do not appreciably...
Bethany, here is your reminder.
Sorry.
Water the plants.
That's my Alexa, and I forgot to put her into do not disturb mode, so my apologies. Okay. So interior walls are not going to appreciably affect the square footage of the home. Now, technically they do a little bit, but for all intents and purposes, they don't. So with our interior walls, we're not going to adjust the square footage. Okay. So the way this works, and it's probably very similar to what you were using in ACI, and it's the same, very similar to what you do in Apex as well. The first thing I want to do is, if I'm going to be doing this very precisely, and I want, I've got measurements of where the walls begin and how big they are. What I'm going to do first is I need to get a starting point. So I'm going to put my pointer somewhere in the neighborhood of one of these corners, and then I'm going to hit the J key on my keyboard to jump the cursor to exactly where that corner is. And now I'm not going to touch the mouse. Do not pick up your mouse now, okay? Because we're going to be doing precise stuff here. Now I know that this room, the back wall of this room is 20 feet. I'm not going to drop my pin yet. I'm just going to measure out 20 feet. So I'm going to do 2, 0, and then I'm going to hit the right arrow button. That's going to jump my cursor to the right 20 feet. Now I want to draw an actual interior wall. So I'm going to hit enter to drop the pencil or the pen. And you'll notice that the cursor now changes from a crosshair to a pencil icon. Now I'm drawing. So you could use the arrow keys to draw, but if you've measured all this stuff out, you don't need to do that. So I know that this particular wall, this interior wall, is 20 feet long. So I'm going to go 2, 0 down, and then I'm going to hit enter to lock it in. And if I hit enter again, I'll pick up the pencil, but I don't want to do that because I got one more wall to do. And that is a wall that is also an interior wall 20 feet to the left. So we're going to do 2, 0 to the left. Hit enter to lock that line in, and then I'm going to hit enter a second time to pick up my pencil, and now I can move around. So there is my interior wall. I may actually want to add a door to that, so I can come up here to, which one is it? Create icons. No, wait. No, that's edit icons. Create icons. There it is. And I want to put a door. So I'm going to do a left hanging door. It's going to be 2.5 feet. Maybe it's a bigger door. So I'm going to do 3 feet. There we go. 3 feet in width. Hit OK. There's my door. I can hit the R key to rotate this around, but I know that the door is right here, and I'm going to overlap it just a little bit. And there we go. And then I'm done. Hit OK, hit cancel there. And there's my door. All right, so hopefully that answers that kind of a quick and dirty to answer how that works for you, Donald. Let's see. I think that's everybody. Once again, if you have any other questions, if you need immediate assistance, you're going to want to use, you're going to want to email us to send an email to tech@sfrep.com. At tech@sfrep.com. I have not eaten or drank anything yet because I've been so busy. So I'm a little bit tongue-tied right now. Tech@sfrep.com to get immediate assistance. Training at sfrep.com if you just have some questions that I can answer. If you got a bunch of them, I've done this for a couple people. I think I've done it for a couple of you that are in here. Just write all your questions out and I'll get the answers for you, okay? And I'll send you an email back with the answers to your questions. And I'll be happy to do that with any questions you have. If you really need to set up a one-on-one training, send an email to training@sfrep.com and I'll be happy to set something up for you, okay? All right. Let me double check one more time. Nope, that's everybody. Okay. Thank you so much for showing up. Really appreciate it. Thanks for taking your time out of your day for this. And I look forward to talking with you guys more in the future. Remember, SFREP is known for our tech support and our customer service. So if you have any questions or problems, then what you're going to want to do is call 800-644-4051. Our tech support is open until 8 p.m. Eastern time, 7 days a week. And our sales is open until 8 p.m. or maybe 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. And we'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you so much. And I hope all of you have a great rest of your week. Thanks. Bye. And you know what? I got to get rid of that Santa hat. Have a great one, guys.